The Cats Whiskers podcast is proudly sponsored by the Bunkers Hill Hockley. Don't miss Panthers game day offers, including Coors Light at £2.50 a pint. Sorry about the gremlins, our host, not us, but it's 9 o'clock on Monday, the 4th of December, 2017, and this is the Cats Whiskers podcast live. Hello and welcome to a slightly later than usual edition of the Cats Whiskers podcast. My name is Jono Bullard. We've got another packed show for you this evening, looking back at a fantastic 4-point weekend for the Nottingham Panthers after wins against the Steelers and the Braehead clan. We've also got your fan player of the week and your fan comments. We'll be looking at the other Elite League results and news. And we'll finish up by looking ahead to Panthers' weekend games against Cardiff Devils and Guildford Flames. But it's time to introduce the panel this evening. Along with myself, it's time to welcome Tina Taylor.
Hiya.
Adam Reddish.
Evening, everybody.
And Antoine Marie-Jeanne.
Just kidding. Hello.
Hi. After everything we've been through tonight, and you pull that one out.
Hey, at least he had the decency to stay on the broadcast this time. He decided to duck out on me completely on Wednesday.
Well, Ant won't be staying around very long, so say goodbye to Ant because he's
Bye,
going.
guys.
No, I'm only joking. Right, let's get this car crash underway. So we'll start on Saturday night, a league game against the Sheffield Steelers. Panthers coming away with a 4-1 victory. Levi Nelson opened the scoring for the opposition before 4 unanswered goals from Brett Pellini, 2 from Raphael Bouzier, and an empty net finisher from Jeff Brown secured the 4-1 victory and 2 points for the Panthers. Guys, Paul Thompson said it wasn't a 4-1 game and that they were in it until the last few minutes. Do you agree with that? Adam, let's start with you.
I think for the first 2 periods it was very even Steven, and there wasn't really much between the teams at all. I thought both sides sort of cancelled each other out, and it wasn't really a spectacle of ice hockey. And it was tight, it was cagey. So I think that Thompson probably had a point there by saying that, for 2/3 of the game, the Steelers were in it, as were we. And, it could have gone either way. But, obviously we slipped into another gear in the third period and moved ahead.
Tina, do you think Paul Thompson is fair in his comments?
I think he's got a point. Yeah. I mean, when it was 1-1, I think it was still a little bit squeaky bum time. I mean, so far this season, I think we've at one point we'd scored the least third period goals in the Elite League. So I mean, as time went on, it was a little bit more frustrating to look at. The sort of time's ticking down, and for me personally, because I am a bit of a stats watcher, I just thought, dear God, please don't let us get to the third period and have to rely on the scoring there. And I mean, what a surprise! Firmly eating my humble pie at the end of the third period, because that was that was some way to seal the game. Really, it was. Tomo got a point in that particular part of his post match. It's. I mean, like Adam said, the game's a little bit disjointed, but the Steelers have that annoying habit of being able to take a game like that and just come away with the points. So it was good that we managed to find another gear and stick 3 more goals away to secure the points in our own barn.
I mean, and one thing that Paul Thompson did mention in the interview was he felt that Levi Nelson had an excellent game for them. What's your opinion?
Keep it clean.
Right. Well, I'll I will say this: he's the only Steelers player that can probably hold his head up to putting a performance in. I think they were very much of a muchness, to quote Adam. He's the only one that really stood out for me. Yes, for all the wrong reasons in a lot of cases, but that's what he is, isn't he? He's one of these noble types where he's a proper irritant, and he plays on the borderline. And yeah, no doubt that the Steelers fans love him. But yeah, I can't stand the little so and so.
Yeah, not one of my favourites either. I have to say, I've got no problem with agitators. There's been a lot in the league. They provide a lot of entertainment for a lot of fans. You know, there's a lot of agitators who you would love on your team, but you hate them when they're playing for the opposition. One of the best at that was Ryan Finnerty. I felt Finnerty was a real irritant. But one thing about Finnerty and a lot of other agitators is if they needed to back it up, they could do. Nelson, for me, doesn't back it up. He does the cheap shots, he does the annoyance, but then runs off, and I hate that. I think if you're gonna do that sort of role, at least have the gonads to back it up when required.
Well, it's like obviously just before the bench penalty that we got for squirting Nelson in the face. By the way, whoever did that, high five. Give that man a pay rise.
Well, it's funny actually because on the game sheet it's actually been credited to Corey Nielsen. I don't think for a minute it was him, but I don't think anybody was fessing up to it. So I think that ultimately fell with the head coach. Unfortunately,
it was just a perfect shot. It was that was a bullseye. literally just leading up to do that. Just before that, sorry, I can't get my bloody words out. I'd be surprised if there's no comeback on that, because he seems to go in very, very high on Lakovic for me with his elbow. I mean, I know in the commentary it's gone, its first reaction, and unfortunately the camera where the camera angle is at the NIC, you can't zoom in and what have you. We've not got the ability to do that, but it looks like a very high challenge to me. To be honest.
Yeah, sorry, you broke up a little bit there, mate. Can you just repeat that?
Where did I get?
Probably the last paragraph, I would say.
What, that he deserved a bit of a beating?
Yeah.
I
missed that bit. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. That's my opinion. For me, it was a bad challenge. He was high. He led with his elbow. I'm happy to be proved wrong. I'm proved wrong on many occasions, so this won't be a first.
Well, to be fair, I mean, obviously from my vantage point, I'll be honest, I didn't see the hit, but. And one thing that was quite, heartening to me, I don't know if that's even the right word, I do that a lot, but yeah, had it not been for the melee of players that then appeared around that area, I think Ollie Bestridge would have taken or would have attempted to take it Nelson to task. The look on his face was just like, I am going to kill you. So it was good. It was good to see Ollie stepping up for his line mate there.
Yeah, definitely it was. Well, moving on to more things about the game, the performance of Zach Phillips was quite incredible. Two great setups.
Hail Zach Phillips.
Go on, Tina, off you go.
Oh, it's just, I mean, how much have we already waxed lyrical about Zach Phillips? He's a fantastic player. I mean, at the beginning of the season, he was one of those that a few people were like, oh, well, what's he doing in the team? And, he doesn't do anything for me. But then you watch him, he's settled in and he's the vision guy. He just, it's like his peripheral vision is more than 180 degrees because he just sees it all. And, I think his line mates are definitely, ask Raphael Bussier. His line mates are absolutely benefiting from what he can provide. That line is getting into a bit of a rhythm, and Zach Phillips is the catalyst. I mean, that movie pulled on there's 3 Steelers players crowding around him. He leaves them all behind, and there's another Steelers player comes to challenge him as he's going to the net. And so essentially, Zach Phillips has pulled 4 players away from his line mates, and then found one of his line mates and left him an open net to score. I could have scored that, and I can't skate. That's what Zach Phillips has done. That's what Zach Phillips does for his line mates. That's what Zach Phillips can do. So, this is why you should always reserve judgment on players until they get settled, until you see what they can really do. And Zach Phillips is flourishing.
Absolutely, yeah. Another thing that needs clearing up, I suppose, is Steelers' first goal from Levi Nelson, where it was a dual penalty, a coincidental penalty. The penalty box is open. Levi Nelson jumps out, but Josh Schaller's penalty box door didn't open as quick. Carol Howarth, who runs that penalty box, has had to defend herself quite vehemently over the past couple of days, and was proved to be absolutely right today when video footage from the highlights showed that if she had have opened the box, there's a possibility that 2 players could have come flying through it, which would have put her and Schaller at danger, or Schaller could have gone out straight into the path of 2 oncoming players. So therefore, she made the right decision. But Adam, there was a lot of controversy about it at the time.
There was. I think a lot of it's probably unfair, to be honest, on balance. I do recall at the game, we both said, didn't we, it seemed a bit odd that, one door opened and the other door didn't, and the door that opened, freed the Steelers player to go on and score a goal. But I think, those of us who, are able to maybe think more rationally, have weighed up the pros and cons of why Carol did what she did. And, I'm absolutely perfectly happy with what she did and the actions. I mean, she has a split second, doesn't she, to make these decisions. It's not something that you can, sit and mull over for, the best part of 20 seconds or so. So she made, an instant call there and decided to keep the door shut. And, at the end of the day, I think player safety should be paramount. In which case, whilst we were disadvantaged because Sheffield went up the ice and scored, nobody got hurt over the incident. So that's what we need to look at. We need to look at things, in a wider context on that incident.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that we was talking about on Saturday night after the game, Ant, was Irvin's Mustakovs. I think, Adam, we've discussed him plenty. And the question that was being asked is he good or is he lucky? Because I watch him, and I've never rated him. I never rated him the first time he was with the Steelers. I still don't rate him. Okay,
you've never mentioned it, Johnny.
He has good save percentages. Not going to knock that. But I watch him, and half of the time he doesn't seem to know where the puck is. There was an attack, a very opening attack on Saturday night, and the shot comes in, and he's looking around. He has no idea where he is in relation to his goal net. He has no idea where the puck is. And I just think he's just lucky. But Ant, you said to me, you can't be that lucky all the time. You must be good. So what do you think?
That's exactly. It's one of these things where, and I'm with you, John. Now it was like every time I've seen him, he just doesn't convince me at all. But surely the stats don't lie. Maybe it's because his defence is suited to him, so he just puts himself in a position where the shot will hit him and the defence do the rest. But yeah, I mean, certainly as a goalie, I'd rather have Dan Green in goal than Irvin's Mustakovs, and that's no disrespect to Dan Green at all, but he's now retired. I just don't rate him at all. I don't know, but the stats kind of counterbalance what our opinion is, and they must like him in Sheffield because they keep signing him season after season. So there's obviously something about him.
Obviously, I've still yet to see it, but Hey, it's only my opinion, but it was enough for him to block me on Twitter. All I'd say is if he used it,
first thing he blocked since Saturday.
Well, all I'd say is if he used his blocker like he blocks on Twitter, he'd probably be a better netminder, and I'd like him more. But there you go. It was a scrappy game though, and there wasn't a lot of quality on show until the last period, I felt. I mean, is that a fair assessment? But I did also get the feeling the Panthers thought, right, let's step it up a bit, and then they just blew the Steelers away in that third period. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it is. As I said, it was cat and mouse, but I don't think we were going all out for it. I think Sheffield were trying to contain us and stop us from playing, and it was working well. It worked well for 2 periods. But we know that with people like Zach Phillips and Mok Shantef, that we've got guys that are capable of doing incredible things and totally out of the blue. And yet again on Saturday we see an absolute moment of pure brilliance from Zach Phillips to sort of unlock the game for us, because after that we didn't really look back. And but yeah, I think you're right. I think that we probably had an extra gear or two to slip into, but I don't necessarily feel that Sheffield had that same gear. I think they were working their hardest to try and shut us down and cut down on the scoring chances that we were able to create and provide. But in the end, I think it probably it didn't feel like a 4-1 game. I know we're going back to the first question you asked about what Thompson said, but I don't think there was probably a 3-goal difference in that game, maybe 2 at a push. But at the end of the day, we hung in there and we gave ourselves a chance to win, and we got the 2 points. And it's nice to think that perhaps we haven't, played at our full potential for the whole 60 minutes, yet we've just beat Sheffield 4-1. Mm-hmm. So, that's a positive.
Yeah, Adam makes the point there that we're probably not playing to our potential, but still beat our biggest rivals 4-1, a conference rival as well. It puts us back on the top of the league. And, what is there not to like about that?
It's just, I'm struggling to think of anything.
Well, to be fair, let's open it up. What is there not to like about this season so far?
Power
play.
Yeah, but even that's getting better.
It is. It is. That's the thing. It's special teams. We're not blowing the stats away on either penalty kill or power play. But we're doing all right.
But we 0 for 7. The Steelers were on the power play on Saturday, and they are the best power play unit in the league according to the statistics.
Yes, I mean there are. I think that is getting a little bit tighter. I think they've slipped a little bit the last couple of games. So they're showing some frailties. I think showing that they are entirely catchable at the moment. I mean, I know they bounced back the following night. Looking a little bit more like themselves. A scoreline that you'd sort of expect of the Steelers, but. Yeah, what is there not to like? It's just it's all going pretty well right now. I don't want to put any kind of curse on it, podcasters curse or armchair fans curse, but we've got guys who are visibly working their socks off, shift after shift, night after night. We hear markedly different things this season to what we were hearing last season. I mean, it sounds like there's been a massive culture change, in the sense that guys are actually spending, they're taking the time to spend in the gym, working with trainers and physio and the strengthening conditioning guy. It feels worlds apart from last season. Everything is kind of nice at the minute. I mean, probably the only sort of, I don't know, question mark. Just to give you something in answer to the question is, Evan Mosey might be injured about the only thing not to like at the moment. You know, I mean, that's how good it is right now. You know, let's just enjoy it. But why not? I mean, you know, we've had a few seasons where it's been horrid, frankly. You know, all you know, albeit we've come out with trophies, but it's left a little bit of a sour taste. But you know, so far this season, it's all looking good.
My biggest gripe this year is the quality of the NIC cheeseburgers.
Oh no!
And a fiver. A fiver.
It's the smell of
it's not
fish
so much
when
the
you
price.
first walk down.
Yeah, I mean, my gripe's not so much about the price of the cheeseburgers, even though it'd be nice if the price came down a bit, but the fact that they just don't sort of stay in shape.
Well,
As you know, Jono, from a game earlier this season where I had to use one of Lucy's wipes because Lucy was with you to, you know, clean up the mess of a cheeseburger that had gone everywhere.
Yeah, but you are a messy eater, though, to be fair.
Well, yeah.
Well,
fair enough.
No domestics, please. Well, it's nice to know we have got some gripes, so we can't be accused of sitting on the fence. A question that we have had in over Twitter from Jordan Dooley. It's an Ask TCW, but it does relate to Saturday, so we'll use it now. If you do want to get in touch on Twitter, you can do during the show. It's at Cats Whiskers TV, and we will love to hear from you, and we'll read out as many tweets as we can before the end of the show. But Jordan says, what do we make of Michael Hicks' performance over the game on Saturday? Do you feel we were playing against 6 men for a large proportion of the game? Now, I will say this, that I was vehemently against Michael Hicks' performance. I thought he had a shocker at the time on Saturday. The penalty shot, when it was called, I just went, what for? What for? The highlight shows that actually it was an absolutely correct call. There was nothing wrong with it at all. It's in the rule book. I looked it up. It was absolutely the correct call.
So Falaco playing the stick.
He played the stick towards the hook, and that is a straight penalty shot if it's in the defensive zone. So, you know, bang to rights. But for me, does that show that perhaps these refs do know a little bit more than they're credited for?
It's not. I don't think it's necessarily the question of what they know, but I think it's perceptions, isn't it? I think. You know, I saw a Twitter exchange between a couple of fans. One of them has the view that, and he did specifically name Mike Hicks. He does have the view that Mike Hicks shouldn't be reffing games in Cardiff because there may not be any bias, but there, you know, it would remove any suggestion of it. And I don't think that, and I mean, you know, let's throw Dean Smith into the conversation as well. You know, as we're talking about referees from Cardiff and from Wales, from the Cardiff area. So, you know, I don't think there is any bias, but there are games where you can feel that your team is being hard done to. There's always calls that I disagree with. I have, you know, black and gold tinted specs on 99% of the time, and I'm very vocal, and you know, I'm close to the ice, so I can be heard if I want to be heard. You know, I can shout at officials and know that they're going to hear me if I really want to.
We hear you on the back of block 13, so don't.
Exactly. I love how you think that I'm going to take that as an insult. It gives me an enormous sense of pride. Anyway, I have yelled and screamed at referees for penalties that I thought were completely unjust, but most of them have been doing it for a very long time, you know, and we have to accept that as fans we do not know as much as the referees know, and you know, everybody will see things in a different way. You know, it's like one of the calls, I can't even remember which one it was, but one of the calls I absolutely 100% disagreed with, that Hicks called against us, and I stood up in my chair and I was yelling along with a lot of other people. It was one that really did get the NIC riled up. And I haven't watched the highlights. So my view of that is probably still going to be the same until I do see the highlights, and maybe that will change my view. So, the game is so fast. The referees have a split second. All officials. As we were discussing earlier with Carol, she had a split second to make a decision. She made a decision. The referees have a split second to make a decision. They have to make a decision. Unfortunately, they are under so much scrutiny, and you can feel if you get, especially if you get a set of penalties, consecutively, or there's something that one referee on the ice has missed because we're not running the 2-man system until next year. There's all sorts of things that contribute to fans feeling like a referee is getting at them and siding with the opposition. And I'm sure if we were to talk to a Steelers fan tonight, they could very well say the same thing, because it's perceptions.
But they'd be wrong. Now, right, I think we will leave the Steelers game there because we've been banging on about it since the start of the show. So it's time to move on to Sunday night. On Sunday, Panthers travel to Scotland to take on the Braehead clan. Panthers coming away this time with a 3-0 victory with goals from Alexander Mokshantsev, Robert Lakovic, and yet another empty net goal from Jeff Brown. So, a great win against the clan side, who have been in good recent form. It has to be said, they won on Saturday night at home. So, and, what a great result.
Well, I'll be honest. Panthers cost me my accumulator. Because I went for a Braehead win. Because I did not see...
Traitor.
I know. I did not see us getting... a regulation win up there at all. They've been, like you say, on a really, really good run of form recently. We've, had, and they are emotionally draining nights when you play your biggest rivals in front of, so sold out crowds. We've had the journey up there as well. So, sitting here listening to the first 2 periods of commentary was, it was really nice. And it seemed like it was just a professional performance from us. We defended well and took our chances when they came.
Yeah. There's no highlights, and none of us were there, obviously, so we haven't seen anything. So it's very difficult to talk about this game. But one thing we do note was the first shutout for Patrick Galbraith. His 7th win in 7 starts for the Panthers. It's earned him the Elite League Player of the Week as well. Just 1 goal conceded from... Let's see how many shots he had. He 70 shots against him this weekend and 1 goal conceded. Tina, that's a hell of a performance.
Yeah. You can't argue with that, can you? Absolutely can't argue with that. It makes the competition for the starting netminder's position very, very interesting, doesn't it? Very, very much.
And I'm sure we will have a shed load of questions about that on Wednesday nights at TCW. There was certainly plenty on the comments on the Player of the Week poll. But goals continuing to be spread throughout the side as well. 5 different scorers this weekend. Pellini, Bouzier, Brown, Mokshantsev and Lakovic. Yeah, it's a pure team effort this season. It really is. Goals coming from throughout the team. Everybody seemingly playing for each other. There was 3 fights last night. So this is a team that is not afraid to stick up for their teammates. It's going back to what I said earlier after the Sheffield game. What is there to moan about? There is nothing to moan about at the minute, Adam.
No, not a lot to moan about at all. And, as you were saying there, it's great to see points coming from all 4 lines, because that must make it really difficult for opposing coaches to know, how to tackle us, because which line do you try and shut down? Do you give special attention to trying to, deal with our top line? I mean, is it as clear cut as that? Do we really have, a natural order of lines? Because to me, you could sort of interchange some of the lines in terms of the quality and the strength, and that's probably why we're getting points production from all four lines, because there is no sort of noticeable drop off in talent or quality or ability on any of them. So we're really lucky this season, and I don't want to curse us, so I'm touching a bit of wood at the moment as I say this, but I think that the roster has certainly got the sort of character and the togetherness to see things through this season, and it really bodes well, because as you said, 3 fights last night. If opposition players are doing naughty things and carrying the sticks high, or sneaky little slash behind the play, our guys aren't going to tolerate that, and it's great to see the togetherness of them out on the ice. And obviously we only really see them all together at the end of a game when they're celebrating, but they look a really, really tight-knit bunch of players. And hopefully that will serve us really well over the next few months.
Yeah. One blot on the whole weekend is that Evan Mosey sustained an injury on Saturday, and he didn't travel yesterday. And from the comments on the Panthers official site today, it appears he will be out for a while. I mean, that is a blow, Ant, because he's been playing very, very well of late.
He has. The whole team has. And it's his pace kills, speed kills. Sorry, as the phrase goes. And Mosey's got it in abundance. But coming back from the AHL, I think he's just as quick, if not a little bit quicker. But his puck handling ability is a lot better now. He seems to be taking, the hockey senses, if you like. There's more there. There's, knowing when to shoot and when to pass. He's become a much, much better player than, and he was a fantastic player when he left us. So it's a huge loss. The question has been bandied around on the cage, and probably various other places as well, about should we be carrying a spare for this reason. I've always been of the opinion, yes, we should always have a spare, and if I'm greedy, I'd want a spare forward and a spare defenseman. However, as Adam alluded to, there is a bond in this unit, and to bring in a spare now, you need to bring the right player, not necessarily somebody who's going to be better than what we've got, but somebody who can fit in with this unit and fit in with this team ethos that we've got. I just hope that Mosey's not out for longer than a couple of games, because it will be a bad loss. But can I just come back quickly to what you said earlier about is there anything to moan about? We asked the question last week on the Fife, after the Fife game, was that our Edinburgh moment? And based on the reaction this weekend, maybe it was.
We have had a tweet from Gemma Swinsko, who says, it's nice not having something to moan about regarding our team this year. Moaning was getting boring. Each line is just as good as the other, and they all gel so well, which is a very, very fair point. Thanks for getting in touch, Gemma. Yeah, it is. It's so nice just to not have anything to complain about. I mean, the difference between this season and last is night and day at the moment. It is complete night and day, and long, long may it continue. Okay,
well, it's funny. Sorry,
yeah, no, go on.
Sorry to butt in here. Obviously, I had a chat to Alan Clarenbold in the bunkers.
I will apologise to Alan if he's listening. Ant did record it, but unfortunately the background music was so loud that we couldn't use it, unfortunately, which is a shame. So
yeah, and we were talking. I mean, if you want to listen to the soundtrack that Pete was playing, maybe we should play. But no, I don't think we've got a license for that. So no, and we had a chat, and one of the things we did mention is this season's Sheffield team do look a lot like our season's team last year.
Yes.
In that the fan base are not happy, even though they're not that
they're
far
never
off
happy though.
And at the end of the day,
happy. They could win every trophy, win every game, they'd still not be happy.
Yeah, but Jono, they have to live in Sheffield, so of course they're not going to be happy.
Good point.
Can I? Sorry, just to come in on that point for a moment. Not the living in Sheffield thing, because we all make choices. But just one thing about the Sheffield team. It got to about halfway through the second period, maybe a little bit further on, and all of a sudden I thought, I've not seen War. I genuinely couldn't remember seeing him on the ice, and I stood up and had a look on the bench, and I was, oh no, there he is.
Yeah, he'd had a shave.
It's just, no, it's not just. It wasn't just that, but it was just. I hadn't noticed.
Yes, he was. There was quite a lot of their players who were conspicuous by their absence, when the fact that you didn't notice them. John Armstrong was one. Matthew Waugh, Colton Fretter. Never noticed them all night.
Yeah, no, I mean, Waugh is notorious for getting in front of the net and just finding that space that the goalie just cannot cover and getting a goal. I mean, one of the first times I did notice him, he came back to the bench and nearly broke his stick because I can't remember what had happened, because it was just so unnoticeable. It was just, he came back to the bench and he was upset by something, and that was probably the most I noticed him all night. It's really odd, the shift in some of the Sheffield players. I mean, especially some of their talisman, like Waugh, Fretter, Armstrong. Waugh's been their guy now for years, and all of a sudden he's just not having an impact. I mean,
but could it be that they've been there for too long? Are they getting a bit stale? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, it's worrying. It's not worrying for us because who cares? if you're a Panthers fan, who cares? Carry on, you crack on, mate. But for Steelers fans, I can very well see where the comparison's coming in between our team last season and their team this season, because the guys that you're expecting to cause you problems aren't really doing so.
But the thing with the Steelers, and I'm sure we'll move on to this when we look at the rest of the league, is they are getting the results against the perceived lower clubs, but against the conference. So games against Belfast, us and Cardiff, they've won one game in the league all season, and have 3 points in the conference. 1 win, 1 overtime loss out of, I think it's 8 or 9 games. That is not the Sheffield Steelers we know.
But at the end of the season, they will be up there, because they always are. As much as we hate it, they are always there. And I can't imagine them not making changes.
I was going to say, they always seem to make changes. And, Jono, you said a minute or two ago, the fan base is never happy. And, I suspect that's probably part of the reason why they have won so much over the years, is because their fans seem to demand, that the on-ice product is, a winning side, season in, season out. So when they do struggle, it's all a bit alien for the fan base. And it's like, well, what do we do? So I know this season that, there has been quite a lot of vitriol, flung at people like Thompson, for some of the sort of coaching decisions he's made and some of the signings that he's made, and even recently about which import to sit, because of the ban to DeVoe that needs to be sat by one of their imports. So it seems like there's a lot of anger and blame flying around Sheffield at the moment, but Ant's absolutely spot on. I think that organisation is probably brave enough to make some very, very bold decisions to try and freshen things up and bring in guys that will sort of make them a bit more competitive in their conference games, because that's what's killing them at the moment.
Okay, we really do need to move on, because we've got Player of the Week and the rest of the EIHL next week to look forward to. But first, some of your comments that you left on your Player of the Week voting forms. So Galbraith was world class this weekend and should be the first choice. But what a place to be to have amazing talent in the goal department. I could not agree more. Someone put Galbraith hiding in his net during the Teddy toss. I didn't see that. I've got
Maybe he's got a phobia of teddies.
To be fair, some people brought in some massive teddies. I would not want to be hit by one of them.
The team have switched from CHL to EIHL very well. Against Steelers, a game we could have got frustrated and panicked, but stuck to the game plan and came out strong winners. That is a really, really good point. I agree with that. Yeah. So many times we've won this year and it's been difficult to pick a man of the match shows that it is all about the team rather than individuals this year. Another great point, and that's what we've been saying. It is a team. It is very much a team this year. Anyone?
Yep. No, they are. You know, they all seem to have each other's back, and it's great because, you know, if a few guys don't perform one night, you know, not deliberately or anything like that, but we've got the quality elsewhere on the forward lines and the defensive units to compensate for that. So it's all sort of balancing out nicely at the moment.
Something echoing what we said earlier: strength in depth scoring, solid backstopping, and a team attitude of never say die. What is not to love? Exactly. I think that's a good place to leave it there. Thank you very much for your comments, as ever. So on to the player of the week. I'm sure it'll be a no surprise, but let's try and keep the suspense going for a little bit longer. In third place, it is 2-goal hero Raphael Bouzier, 2 goals on Saturday to seal the win against the Sheffield Steelers. In second place, the irrepressible Zach Phillips, 2 great setups. He finishes second. And in first place, no surprises, it's once again Patrick Galbraith, who is first place in the player of the week. 1 goal let in from 70 shots, in outstanding form, 7 starts, 7 wins. What an amazing netminder. You know, long may it continue. So congratulations once again to Patrick Galbraith, this week's Cats Whiskers Panthers player of the week, as voted for by you, our listeners. So thank you very much for taking the time to vote once again. Okay, we will crack on. The Nottingham Lions had a double homestand at the NIC this weekend, playing in the arena on Saturday lunchtime. Unfortunately, it was an 8-1 loss to the Solihull Barons, but they did follow that with a first home victory of the season on Sunday night against the Deeside Dragons, this time 8-1 in the Lions' favour. The win sees Lions rise to 8th place in the EIHL Morley division, so great performance from the Lions last night to take the win. Other Elite League results and news. So, on Saturday, Guildford Flames 7, Dundee Stars 3, Milton Keynes Lightning 3, the Belfast Giants 6, Manchester Storm 3, Cardiff Devils 4, Braehead Clan 3, Coventry Blaze 1, and the Five Flyers 6, Edinburgh Capitals 2. On Sunday night, the Sheffield Steelers recovered from Saturday night with a 6-1 victory over the Milton Keynes Lightning. The Blaze woes continue. They lost at the Sky Dome 4-2 to the Manchester Storm. Guildford capped a 4-point weekend with a 5-3 victory over the Belfast Giants, a result which sees Panthers 2 points clear at the top of the Elite League. The Edinburgh Capitals with a home loss to the Five Flyers, Flyers winning 5-1. And the Cardiff Devils with a 3-2 victory over the Dundee Stars. So it's all getting a bit tight at the top. Panthers top of the Elite League, Belfast in second place, 2 points behind, Sheffield third, Cardiff fourth, Manchester fifth. So it's all still to play for, but Panthers still with games in hand on the rest and points clear. I mean, and that's a good place to be in.
Well, you'd rather be in our position than anywhere else, wouldn't you? But the age-old saying goes that games in hand don't mean nothing until you've won them. But at least we're still top without them.
And Blaze have signed Moiseo. Romberg returned for the Steelers this weekend, and Milton Keynes Lightning released Ashley Tate. Adam, that was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, bit of a surprise. I mean, I don't think Milton Keynes have been in great form, have they, over the last few games? They seem to have slipped down the standings a little bit. So I don't know whether, you know, it was linked with that had some sort of hand in Tate being released, or because he was only there on a temporary contract, wasn't he? I don't think he was signed for the entire season. So, you know, we don't know. But the thing is, experienced Brits don't sort of grow on trees. So when you get one, it's must be a bit of a hard decision to let them go. So,
but he is. I think he's 41, 42 years old. So he's certainly no spring chicken. Right?
Yeah,
no,
I mean, obviously,
to him, but
no. I mean, when we played Milton Keynes recently down in their rink, I got to admit, I didn't really notice him too much at all. So whether, you know, he wasn't getting the ice that he thought he should have deserved, and, you know, he might have been playing on a third or a fourth line, which is what he's been doing for the last few years anyway. He might think that, you know, there's better things to be doing than sat at the end of a bench, you know, getting very little ice time at Milton Keynes. So I wouldn't be surprised if he popped up somewhere else. Though he seems to, want to get around the league. So who knows? He might pop up at what about a Lions? Could the Lions use someone like Ashley Tate's experience?
Yeah, they certainly could. He'd be a great addition to the Lions. I can't see it happening.
No.
But never say never, I suppose. Stranger things have happened in the past. Steelers released Andre DeVoe straight after he was given a 6-game ban by Dobbs for various misdemeanours in games last weekend. But the Steelers will have to sit an import short for the duration of the ban. I mean, Tina, I suppose it came as no surprise that they released him, because he's really not torn up any trees since his signing. But he leaves them with a bit of a hole to fill.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a bit. He came into the league with a bit of a reputation, so I don't suppose we can be all that surprised that he's gone out in the fashion that he has. I mean, in the game, there was a game misconduct that he got, but also earlier on in the game, he'd earned himself a 10-minute misconduct for abuse of official. So that's he's got more penalty minutes than he actually played minutes in the game. So you can't have a player that doesn't put in the minutes. It's all very well trying to be effective by bullying your way around the ice, but if you can't make a difference to the results, and if you're not contributing to the overall good of the team, then it should come as no surprise to him that he's been released. I can't, obviously with the experience that he's got, he was sort of being heralded as being, a big deal, really. But he's not. I don't think many Steelers fans, if they've got any sense, will remember him particularly fondly.
No. The Challenge Cup quarter-final was draw was made at the Elite League board meeting last Tuesday. Of course, this was a new format where the top 3 seeds got to choose who they played. Number 1 seeds Sheffield chose the number 8 seeds, the Dundee Stars. Number 2 seeds, the MK Lightning, chose the number 7 seeds, the Nottingham Panthers. The number 3 seeds, Belfast Giants, they chose 6 seed 5 Flyers. So the 4th and 5th seeds play off against each other. That will be Cardiff against Guildford. So it was just the same as having a 1v8, 2v7. What was the point of that? I ask you.
Well, I mean, we were actually having a bit of a chat about it, weren't we? Our cynical selves said, for a payday, we half expected the Steelers to pick us, because what brings bums on seats more than a Panthers Steelers game, So that the cynics in us were definitely proved wrong. But by the same virtue, I think that's exactly how Milton Keynes have played it. I think they have seen how well Panthers fans travel, and so I think they're looking for a payday, to be quite honest.
Well, not only that, the games between us this season have been really good games as well.
Have.
So
they have, and that's brilliant. The fans of both teams deserve a good matchup, but I think there's the GMs were at the board meeting. They're not daft. They know that they want to fill their building, and that was the best way for Milton Keynes to do it, I think.
So Friday, December the 22nd is when the first leg will take place in Milton Keynes. We have had a message from Pat Northridge from Panthers Travel. She says, could we give a mention that Panthers Travel are taking names for the Challenge Cup quarter-final on December the 22nd. Contact 07547 917 968 by phone, or email travel@panthers.co.uk for further info. So that is the possibility of taking a bus down to Milton Keynes with Panthers Travel, so get in touch if you would like to take advantage of that. Okay, we will carry on and look ahead to the games that are coming up this weekend. So on Saturday, the Panthers take on the Cardiff Devils, which promises to be. I think I saw you put on the cage, Ant, a slobber knocker.
just like
what?
good old JR. Just good old JR would say. It has the potential to be a proper slobber knocker, yes. Games against the Devils are rarely quiet affairs. And by the sounds of it, the ticket sales are going really, really well again as well. So
yeah, I believe only 1,500 left, or less than 1,500 left in the bowl, which equates to over 5,000 already sold. So
it's brilliant, isn't it? So and yeah, I mean, last season's champions, they started to pick up points again after a start to the season. Yeah, it'd be a huge 2 points if we get the win. Huge.
And looking at the sort of past history, Tina, as you have, 9 wins, 9 losses, an overtime loss, a shootout loss, and no draws. 61 goals for, 57 goals against. It could not be closer between these two teams.
Yes, it is. I'm always nervous with games against the Devils. But yeah, the record, the past record, last 20 games could not be tighter. Like you say, you just couldn't call it. And like Ant says, Devils are coming into a bit of form now. You know, it's not a fluke that we are where we are in the table. So it's a good one. It's a good yardstick for us, I think.
Hey, Adam, we played the Devils at the NIC a couple of weeks ago. Panthers coming away with a 7-4 victory thanks to 2 empty net goals. The scoreline probably doesn't reflect how close that game was.
No, it was a cracking game, wasn't it? You know, real sort of yo-yo game where both sides just went at each other. It was like old style hockey, really. But I think, you know, as others have said, you know, the two teams were really, really closely matched. You know, Cardiff's league form early on was a little bit, you know, sporadic, but they seem to have, you know, got things together now, and it's going to be a tough test for us. You know, I expect that all the games between us and Cardiff for the rest of the season are going to be, you know, very, very tight affairs. And, you know, they've got a lot of quality on their roster, but, you know, we've got a lot of quality on our roster. So I don't expect there to be, you know, too many blowouts one way or another. I think that, you know, we'll probably trade points for the rest of the season, you know, with maybe, you know, picking up a point in overtime, or, you know, maybe things going to penalty shots. You know, they're just very, very closely matched teams. And that's why it's great that we've got people like Zach Phillips on our roster, because, you know, a tight game could be sort of broken by a moment of magic, or, you know, Mok Shantsev. So, yeah, it should be good. Looking forward to it.
On Sunday, Panthers travel down to the Spectrum in Guildford to take on the Flames for what will be the final time this season in the league. Panthers have won the 3 previous encounters, all thanks to overtime and shootouts. So they've all been very close encounters, but 3 wins for the Panthers. So what are we expecting going down there? You would look at the two rosters and you would expect us to get 2 points, but Guildford have been getting some very good results lately. They beat Belfast on Sunday night, and they picked up Jeff Walker, who used to play for the Steelers, so they're strengthening their squad all the time. It's not going to be easy to get 2 points down there.
No, I think some of it's going to come down to netminding. They obviously went to start the season with Brian Stewart, and with his injury they've brought in Carosi, and he's tidy. He's a tidy netminder. I think he's worth holding on to if they've got any sense, if they've got the finances. You know, if Brian Stewart ever comes back, and that conversation ever has to be put out there. But yeah, I think the netminders are going to have a big say in what happens in that game, and that's possibly a question for both games. You know, for us, who is who's starting those games? Which, you know, that's, as I said earlier, the net minding is a very interesting question at the moment, I think.
Hey, Adam, and anything to add on the game in Guildford?
Guildford are the form team at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah.
Five wins on the bounce, scoring plenty of goals. As you say, the games against them so far have been real tight affairs. They're a fast-paced, sticky little team, which I'm not too fan of. But and they work for each other. Very, very similar from them to how our guys set up, to be honest. But I imagine it's going to be another tight one. Another 4-point weekend. Is it possible? I don't know.
No.
I think they've got a lot of goals in them. Because of late, I know they're the form side in the elite leagues. I think they've won the last 5 games, but they've been handing out some beatings to teams. And admittedly, not some of the stronger teams, although they managed to put 5 past Belfast at the weekend. But I think they've got some very high scoring D men, haven't they, Guildford? You look at the sort of stats for the roster, and I think 2 of their top 3 skaters are defensemen for points, and one of them I think got somewhere close to 40 points from like 20 odd games, so he's going at 2 points a game. I think he's the Swedish guy. I forgot his name. Oh dear. If there's a Guildford fan listening to this, which it probably isn't, then now's the time to tweet us. His name escapes me, but he must be a real playmaker. He must be quite similar in his sort of approach to the game as Sauvé. So,
do you mean the guy who got Player of the Week last week? I think that's Callie Ackered.
Ackered, that's the guy. So, we might want to just pay a bit of attention to him, because it seems like he probably quarterbacks things like power plays, and he's just a very visible presence on the ice when Guildford attack. So maybe if we shut him down, then that's part of the sort of way that we win that game on Sunday.
Yeah, Callie Ackered, defenseman, he's 34 points from 20 games played.
Yeah.
12
That's good going.
plus 22. Wow.
That's not bad for a D, man.
Wow.
Jeez.
I'm sure
And
every
their
forward
third,
in the elite league would like those
highest
figures.
Scorer is also a D-man, Jesse Craig. He's got 4 plus 22 from 20 games. John Dunbar, their highest scorer, who is a forward, 8 plus 28 from 20 games.
Yeah, they've got points in them.
They are.
They've got points in them.
Got points in them. And Jeff Walker, who I mentioned, the ex-Steeler, he's 3 plus 3 from 4 games. So a lot of players there tallying well over a point a game.
Yeah. Dangerous.
Is that a case like we mentioned on a previous one? Is it a case that we know where their danger men are, shut them down, whereas for a team like us, we've got who do you shut down? Because everybody can score.
Yeah. That is a good point, and we shall leave it there. We will, of course, be discussing those games on next week's Cats Whiskers podcast. But that is not it for this week, as TCW returns on Wednesday evening, and our guest will be Owen Bradley, a former of Radio Nottingham, now working with Derby County. Boo. Owen will be joining us to take your questions, so please get them in. To us, best way via Twitter, it's at CatsWhiskersTV. Use the hashtag #TCW. We've already had 2 or 3 questions for Wednesday night at this early stage, so please get them into us. There's also Facebook, the various Panthers fan groups, and the Cats Whiskers page on Facebook, where you can send us a message. We have a dedicated thread on the Cage Forum where you can leave your question, or if you want to do it by email, you can do it. It's tcwonlinetv@gmail.com. However,
just before you wrap it up, Jono, just a quick one. Paul Kelsall sent us a message on Facebook, and he says, can we wish good luck to the GB under-20s as they head up to Dumfries for the World Championship?
We certainly can. I will be there watching it next week as part of the webcasting team, so there will be webcasts available for all the games in the Under-20 World Championships next week. Go to 24/7.
And we do have...
Go to 247.tv for further details of that. I believe there is a tournament pass for all 15 games. I think it's £30 for 15 games. Great value for money. So, 247.tv for further details. Sorry, Tim.
And we also have a couple of Panthers-attached players going up there in Kelsall and Tetlow.
Jordan Kelsall, Josh Tetlow. We've also Kieran Brown, Liam Kirk, and Cole Shudra from the Steelers. David Clarkson Morgan is also part of the squad. He plays his hockey out in North America these days, so a lot of Nottingham and local connections there. Jordan Boycer of the Braehead clan, he's also part of the squad, so a lot of elite league talent and high hopes that they can gain promotion to the next division, but we shall see. That starts on Sunday and goes through to next Saturday. 5 games, so it's Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday and Saturday are the games. They all are an 8 PM face-off, the Great Britain games, so tune into those if you can. But that is it for this evening. Thank you very much to you for listening and bearing with us through our early technical issues. It actually wasn't us; it was our hosts who had the problems, not us, for a change. So thank you for bearing with us, and also thank you for bearing with us, Adam Reddish.
Thanks ever so much.
Antoine Marie-Jeanne.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
And Tina Taylor.
TCFN.
Thanks once again for listening. We will be back on Wednesday for STCW. Don't miss that. We've got Owen Bradley with us. But until then, ta-ra! This edition of the Cat's Whiskers podcast was brought to you by the Bunkers Hill Hockley.